Hi Rasmus users. Today we're going to be talking about how to create a duration program on Hi Rasmus. To create a program, you would go into the library and then we would click on the Add Program button. In this case, we want to create a duration program, so under New Client Program, we would select the duration type. First off, let's give our program a name. And then I always recommend whenever you're creating a program to go in the order of the 4 tabs that we have at the top here. So first off, for the treatment tab, we would select a treatment area for that program. So let's say we're going to assign this to the behavior reduction treatment area. And then if you do have any sub areas for those treatment areas, you would be able to select them from here. You do also have the option to write any baseline information regarding those programs and target behaviors. And then you're able to write the objective for the program as well. Next, we have the instructions tab, in which you can have any operational definitions you would like for these behaviors and any instructions you would want to write for your therapist in order to be able to take duration data and run this duration program. Whenever you're writing instructions for these programs, we have the tab for all, which means that these instructions that you write will be visible to both all users onto the platform, including parents. However, if you type any instructions in this professionals tab over here, this means that these instructions will not be visible to parent level users. You then also have the option to upload any instruction videos and to upload any learning materials that would be useful for the therapist while running the program. Finally, at the bottom here, you're able to add tags to these programs. So we can add a behavior reduction tag in order to make this program easier to find later on. Next, we have our targets tab, in which we would add the targets that we would want to collect the duration data on. For example, let's say we'd like to collect duration on crying behavior and dropping to the floor behavior. Then you'd be able to change the status of the targets you've just added. So you can either set them to probe if you'd like to collect baseline data first, or you can set them to acquisition if you want to start off collecting your duration data. Then finally, we can go to the data recording tab, in which you'd be able to select the mastering workflow. You would be recommended to select the mastering workflow for duration. So if our goal is to reduce the total duration, we would select one of the workflows we've already created. And you're able to take a look at the details of your workflow by clicking on the lines on the right side over here. So we can see that the criteria has been set for a target to go from probe straight to closed is if it's 5 minutes or less across one session. And then you can always adjust these criterias and individualize them according to the different clients that you're working with. So I can say that I would want my baseline to be across 3 sessions. And then as we're in the acquisition phase, the criteria over here is 10 seconds across 2 sessions. Again, I can change this if need be. Once you've reviewed everything, you can just go ahead and click save, and you'd be able to tell that you've made changes to the workflow because the symbol on the left will appear. Then you'd be able to select a prompt level template. For a duration program, it's always recommended that you use a clicker prompt level template. We have an additional button that would show up with duration programs, which says fill zero duration data. This button means that if you select this, it means that if this program is added to a session and therapist does not collect data on it, let's say because the client did not engage in any behaviors today, then a 0 will show up on the graph for that day. However, if you toggle this button off, it means that any day where data was not collected will not show up on your graph. And then you can always edit your graph settings. If there's certain information that you would want to see, you can edit the graph settings from the right-hand side over here. And you can always preview your program before you save it to make sure that this is what you would want to see in the session. So in order to take the duration data, I can just click on it and I'd be able to record the data in the session. Once all of these details have been added, you do also have an option to add a photo to the program. Again, just to make it easily recognizable, so you can upload your own photo or you can search directly on the system for any pictures you might want to add. And once that's added, then we can go ahead and we can save our program.